Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of the Crypto Leviathan podcast. We have a very special guest. She's a Mixed Galaxy Canada and a contendant in the Miss Galaxy universe. I'm saying that correctly, Melanie?
Miss Galaxy International.
Miss Galaxy International pageant, and she's competing in August. So let's welcome her on the show. So Melanie, do you want to introduce yourself? Let everyone know a little bit about yourself.
Hi, yeah, my name's Melanie, as you've introduced, and I am currently Miss Galaxy Canada. I won the title actually, it was September of last year, beginning of September. So I've held the title for like half a year now. I've been prepping for that. And I actually got back into pageants because of COVID. I did them as a teenager, but I focused on school for the past 5 years. And the first one I happened to do coming back, I win. So I'm very thankful for that. And I'm looking forward to competing internationally in August.
That's awesome. So how was it taking a break for extended period of time and coming back into something? Was it easy? Was it hard? What were the challenges you faced?
Yeah, there are some things that I kept, I guess, that I didn't know I kept. It's all about practicing, and it sounds so funny because I don't know how well you guys know pageants, but I've been on a podcast before and they're like, you have to practice walking. I'm like, yeah, I practice walking in heels. I practice interview, and I actually went to school for journalism and communications, and the journalism really helped with interview. So it's not something I normally worry too much about when it comes to pageants, but the walking I wanted to get better at, and because it had been many years, I don't exactly, it's a very different walk. It's not like your walk down the street. It's choreographed, has to be neat. So there was a lot of prep with that, but there were some things that just came back to me for sure.
That's awesome. That's great. Like winning your first competition like that. That must be like such an ego boost, right? It's like I just won.
Yeah, I went in not even expecting to win. I wanted to just like have fun. It's been a rough year with COVID, and I kind of signed up on a whim because it had been so many years, and I met a lot of cool people, and I had a great time. So winning was like the cherry on top.
Do you want to explain to people like a bit what this competition is, what's it about? Because our audience is like heavily crypto based. They have
Yeah,
no idea what this
like who's this
competition even
pageant
is.
girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like there was different categories in which I had to prepare for. Most girls have like a platform, they do charity work, they're involved in their community. There's pageants can be very expensive. You have to buy a gown, you have to buy like all your wardrobe for how long you're there and on stage. So I wasn't able to get like too many sponsors because of COVID. A lot of businesses were struggling. But it helps, like it's helpful to reach out to sponsors because it can get expensive. Um, so the categories that I competed in were like stage, so like your evening gown walk, swimwear walk, and fashion wear. There wasn't an on-stage question for this pageant, but sometimes you do have to answer those. And I'm sure most people have seen girls completely mess up on stage on some questions. I remember I watched like Miss Carolina or something from 2007, and it was hilarious. She was trying to explain um, why people in the US don't know where things are on a map, but she was talking about Africa. And I was like, what is going on here? So you can definitely get very nervous, but she became famous for having a really bad interview on stage, but I didn't have to worry about that because there wasn't any on stage question. But you do have an interview with a panel of judges. It's the day before the pageant.
Awesome. So as the winner of this pageant, what are your responsibilities like?
I have to do a number of appearances with my crown and sash. So I've been to like some other pageants going on. I've been to some charity events. I have to kind of look a little bit harder because things aren't exactly completely open in Canada. So I've done a lot of virtual things. I've done some interviews on podcasts with my crown and sash. Anything I can find because there's a certain amount I have to get done. And if I don't do an appearance at least once a month, I could be on probation. Just because they do want that visibility and to know that you're involved. And other than that, practicing my walks, practicing my interview, I guess, and going to the gym, trying to be my best self. I've recently been like taking up yoga and a little bit of weightlifting, so that's been fun. Yeah, it's all about like just coming and being your best self there, and and knowing yourself too, because like interview is a huge part of it. And I don't think many people know that. They think girls just have to look pretty and be good at walking on stage. It's a lot more in depth than that. A lot of women that do pageantry, like they are probably lawyers and future doctors, and I'm not any of those things, but I would consider myself pretty knowledgeable and smart. So those things were definitely key to winning a pageant.
Very fascinating. You told me it's like there's a lot of doctors and lawyers. I was not expecting to hear that.
Yeah, actually, like when I competed, there was quite a few girls that were in school to be lawyers. A few girls that I was like kind of rooming with, they are in school to be lawyers. So they're all very educated. There were some younger girls in there too, because my division is 20 plus. So there were some girls that might have not been in university yet or might not be going that route, which is totally fine. You don't have to go to university to have a good education either. I think that you can learn so much from the internet these days and practical experience. So, but it definitely helps to be like knowledgeable and able to have a conversation that's a little bit more educational when you're in a pageant interview. It's pretty intense.
How many people did you compete against?
So I think that originally there was about to be around 60 girls. It was a very large amount. There were some drops before because of COVID. Some girls couldn't get travel. I'm lucky because I'm in Ontario, so I only had to go to Toronto, but there were some girls that were from like Newfoundland or Nova Scotia, and they had issues coming in, or not sure what happened there, but there was about 35 girls, I think, that came on stage. So in my division, there are different divisions there. I'm not sure how many girls were competing in total, but I know that mine was about 35.
That's awesome. Still, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
When's Miss Galaxy International?
It's in August. I'm there from August 2nd to the 7th. I believe the final like stage day is the 7th. I'm not sure if it's going to be live streamed. I will let you know if you want to watch it. They are on YouTube. Like some of their past pageants are on YouTube. So
send us a link. We'll share it.
I'm going to be in Texas. So I'm going to be in McAllen, Texas. It's apparently very close to the Mexico border.
That's awesome. Is there any way anyone who wants to support you or support your work, how can they do so, and how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm currently like fundraising and looking for sponsors. So if anybody wants to sponsor me in that way, which is funny, I do accept crypto. I do accept PayPal. So if you're international, those are things I would consider. And actually, what I wanted to we'll talk about it later. I'm sure you'll probably ask, but the reason that I got into like crypto was actually this like mentor of mine that said that, you know, you're looking for sponsors. Why don't you open up a crypto wallet? Because this could be like a good opportunity for you. And I don't know many pageant women or any that are actually into cryptocurrency. So I've been learning a little bit from him, and he's brought me into his networks, and that's kind of why I accepted it as well. So that's kind of how this started.
That's awesome. We're glad you're here. So we're going to include all those links in the comments section, so you can find how to donate and support Melanie in her quest to become the international Miss Galaxy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So let's move on now. Let's talk about your crypto journey. So when did you find out about crypto? When did you actually start using it? When did you actually start accepting donations from it? Do you want to just walk through each step of how that progressed?
Yeah, well, I've known about cryptocurrency for a while. I mean, I don't remember how old I was when Bitcoin became a thing. I think that was like
2009 is when it came out. Yeah.
Okay. So I would have been in grade 8, I think.
Yeah, about 14, right?
That age. So I didn't know about it then, but I definitely heard a little bit about it in high school, a little bit more in university, but I never actually dabbled in it. I kind of stayed away from it because I'm like, I don't understand it. But I wasn't willing to learn. So that's another thing. You can kind of live in blissful ignorance and just be like, yeah, it exists, but it's also a risk, and I don't know enough about it. So that was just me not wanting to learn, and I definitely missed out clearly um, with some of that. I don't know when you guys started into crypto either, but like there was a bit of a crash this year, right? We're in a crypto crash. So it's not like the best year to be getting into it. However, like when things go down, they come back up. So we'll see how that goes. But I started learning a little bit more about it last year in the winter, and I started accepting it as of January. So it's still fairly new to me, but I do try every day to learn a little bit more. I am no expert, but I know that even some people that I learn from, they're also newbies too. Like I listen to what they have to say, and it's kind of like a fresh perspective in that way. So I've listened to people that are actually very educated in it and people that are newbies too, learning as you go. So that's kind of where I am right now.
Awesome. So what do you use to accept your donation? Do you use Coinbase, or what platforms do you use to accept?
Yeah, I have a Coinbase account. So I have a Coinbase wallet. I have it on my phone. It's pretty easy. I actually have the QR code for it. So I've put it on certain things to say that, hey, if you did want to support me in this way, I also accept cryptocurrency. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah. Do you find more donations come through crypto, or they come from traditional means? Like what percentage wise would you say?
Well, because I just started accepting it, it hasn't been as much from crypto, but I haven't been advertising it as much as I meant to. So I'm going to start advertising it a little bit more. I do have like a group where I think that I would guess about 30% have donated through cryptocurrency. So it's not like minuscule, but I haven't been actively advertising it, and in certain networks where people are using cryptocurrency, because like the Pageant network, I don't think any of them know anything about cryptocurrency. Like I'm fairly new. I've chatted with some of the girls to see if they were interested in learning, and I think they're also very scared.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like, it's not as big of a as it could be right now, but I'm gonna start I'll let you know if things change, and once I start advertising it more, because I'm curious. I know that most of the people that I'm probably in networks with don't, and so I'd say 30% is pretty good for.
It's huge. Well, think about it. If you just start in January, that's like a month and a half, and it's 30% of your revenue stream. That's pretty big. If you advertise, it could be well over 50%. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you accept? Just Bitcoin, Ethereum, or do you accept a wide range of coins?
Mostly Bitcoin, Ethereum as well. But if someone wanted to donate some sort of other coin, I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no. Why would I say no?
Dogecoin.
Oh, that's another thing. When you asked me like how I've like learned about cryptocurrency, I do follow Elon Musk. Like sometimes I go to his Twitter just to have a laugh or something. Like it's just so intriguing, the things he tweets. I think he's awesome. Like I love Elon Musk, but like I go on there just to be entertained sometimes on his Twitter, and I always see stuff like, I remember when he started the tweet about Dogecoin, I'm like, what is this? And then all the memes that came out, and then you see him casually going like to the moon with a bunch of rockets. I'm like, not sure what to think about it, but it is entertaining.
Yeah, Elon Musk, that guy. Sometimes I love him. Like, yes, he's pumping crypto. The next day he's like, no, I don't like it. It's like, oh, come on, man.
The mentor like that I mentioned, he kind of explained to me like the differences between like getting into Dogecoin. It's not as like scarce, so you're not going to make as much revenue from it right now. And he explained that like in detail. I think he was talking about it for like an hour, and I just like made notes. I was like, okay, so this is, kind of a difference there. Even though it is like in a bit of a crash right now, like Bitcoin is.
Yeah, the way I explain like Dogecoin to everyone, it's more like a regular currency, right? They create more every year. Bitcoin, like there's only 21 million. That's it. That's basically the main difference between them right now. So if you want own Bitcoin long term, is preferable to Doge. Doge, when it goes up, it goes up. It could go down. It behaves like a normal currency.
Yeah. Do you guys have Dogecoin?
I do a little bit.
I don't.
Yeah, I lost money on it. Like I sold a bit of it, then bought it again, and went down. You know how it is. It goes up and down.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting till it goes back up and then sell, and then probably not going to touch it again. So yeah. So in modeling, I was actually thinking about this. I know because we wanted to have you on the podcast for a long time. And there's a lot of applications I was thinking of, like NFT wise, that it would be very cool in modeling. So like right now, when you have photography, when you get photos done of yourself, one great way you could do to create money, you don't need to go through modeling agencies, create NFTs of these photos, right? And then you would list them on a platform such as OpenSea. And then you have now direct control of your own like rights to your photos, which I
Yeah.
think is huge. And I don't know how much you're allowed to talk about this, considering you're Miss Galaxy of Canada. But I think it's super powerful because it gives you much more power as the model. You don't need to go to these agencies to do stuff like this.
Yeah, I was reading this article about Emily Ratajkowski. I'm not sure how to say her last name, but I had seen that she took a photo in front of an image of her, like a portrait, and she sold it for 140,000. And I'm like, wow, like I guess the photographer had like taken the rights of it, and he sold it for a certain amount, and so this was kind of like her taking her ownership back of it in a way. And it was her first NFT that she ever sold, and it's just her in front of the photo. But she is a very big model, so I mean, 140,000, it's huge. But the things, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she's very popular in the modeling world.
Yeah, I think I watched a couple movies with her in there, so I'm familiar generally what she looks like. But yeah, that's why I think it's huge, right? 'Cause, like right now, I feel like there's like a gatekeeper, right? And there's those modeling agencies, and you kind of have to go through them to break big, right? But
Yeah.
now you've through NFTs, you can hire your own photographers, get these photos out there. You don't necessarily need them. There, you could do your own marketing as well, which I think is a game changer, I guess, especially like for people who are disadvantaged, right? Like let's say you don't live in a big city, you live in a rural community. It's going to be super easy now to get exposed.
Yeah, it's really hard for I think I mentioned this to you. Like I'm like on in Southern Ontario. I'm like 4 hours, three or 4 hours, depending on where I am, away from Toronto, and that's where most is happening, either Toronto, Montreal, or Vancouver, in Canada. So if you want to be in modeling, it's better for you to be in those areas and not so far. So that I think that would be really cool, because then you'd be able to connect even with like an international market. um, I'm very intrigued by NFTs. I've been reading a lot about it, and I've been seeing that models have been using it for their photos, and photographers have been using it for their photos. I've seen people selling voice recordings as NFTs. It's pretty versatile, and I know that that's something that people are still very scared of because they don't completely understand it, and I don't completely understand it. Because it's like you own it if you have this NFT, but you can still like save it as a copy, and then that person has that copy, and there might be that issue there. But I know that it's not on the blockchain, so if you have a copy of something, you don't actually have that ownership.
Yeah, the way I describe it is, so let's say you create a picture of yourself and then you mint it and put it on the blockchain. Now, because it's on that blockchain, that's the original copy. Now, if I just take copy and paste, that's like me taking that photo that you gave to me and signed and just putting it over a printer, copying it and generating a copy. It's not the same thing. So this is the same thing in the NFT world. Yes, you can copy these, but you can't verify it on the blockchain. It's not the real deal.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. What really like attracts me to it is the originality and creativity of it, because I like to consider myself a very creative person. Like I was heavily involved in the arts in high school. I did the singing and dancing, but I also like created art, like tangible art, and I did some art galleries when I was in high school. And one of the girls that was in my art class, she's actually turning her actual tangible art into NFTs, which I thought was really cool. She's not making like millions of dollars on it, but she's making a good buck, I'd say. So there's definitely like a lot of opportunity in that area. Um, but I haven't like made any, I haven't bought any, I haven't traded any yet. So I can't say that I know what to do there. But I have been thinking about it, and there is a lot going on there. I think that when more people understand how it works, there probably will be a problem, but right now it's like nobody knows, people are scared, and that's why it's doing so well. Yeah.
Whenever people are hesitant or they're not sure about something, that's a good time to get into something, because when it becomes mainstream, that's usually when it blows up, and then there's fewer opportunities, right, to make massive gains. So yeah, like I know Andrew, he has minted actually an NFT. So if you ever consider doing that, Andrew is definitely a great person to reach out to about minting NFTs. So he did drop off, but when he's back on, we'll talk about it.
I'd love to learn more about that, because I don't like, I know that my friend was doing it, but I haven't like asked her in depth.
Yeah. So Andrew, you're back.
Yeah, sorry. So I'm in between British Columbia and Alberta, near Banff. A little bit of a road trip, so reception and all that's not the greatest. But what did I just miss?
So I was telling Melanie how you went through the process of minting on OpenSea. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Explain to her how the process is, because she's interested in doing it eventually.
Yeah, it's not too bad at all. So to open an account on OpenSea, it's kind of just going through the steps like normal, but you need an account with a Chrome extension called MetaMask. And essentially that's a wallet that allows you, you know how when you go to a lot of websites, it allows you to sign up or sign in with Facebook or Twitter or things like that.
Yeah.
It's similar in that as long as you have a MetaMask account, you can use that to log into a lot of different platforms. And so once you do that, all you have to do is just, name your account and upload. I think you can do videos or GIFs or images, and then just put in all the details and just click upload, and there you go. You have an NFT, and it's set up like an auction, I believe. So it's up there, and when someone starts a bid, then you can set. I think you can change the parameters, so it's like a 30-day auction, for example.
Wow. So have you sold any yet?
We were just playing around with it. We took the logo for the podcast and we put it as an NFT. But so the other thing is that there's so much out there that you have to market it. And I think to date we may have gotten 0 views on our NFT. So,
but let's be honest, we haven't done any marketing for it.
Yeah.
Right. It was more market research than anything. So if you have a big social media following and then you start putting your NFTs up there and then you share that with your social media, that's probably the way to go. I was looking into some artists who are making millions of dollars selling their art. They've been doing digital art for years, and they already had a large social media gathering on Instagram, and that's where they're showcasing their art for years. So once they transition to the NFT world, all they have to do is just let their followers know that now they have an NFT. So it's very easy for them to get that market.
Yeah.
Is there anything from Miss Galaxy Canada that prevents you from selling your photographs?
Oh no. My contract with them is just more like I have to do a certain amount of appearances. I can't get married or pregnant because of where I am. Like I'm in the Miss division, so if I got married, I wouldn't be a Miss anymore. If I got pregnant, I wouldn't be able to compete. So there's like stuff like that I had to sign. But for the most, like there's nothing about gatekeeping my own images or anything like that. And I don't think I would like do it as Miss Gal. Like I probably wouldn't sell a picture of me in my crown and sash, which I could, but I probably wouldn't do that. I don't know if that would be something someone would want. Maybe someone, but I mean, people will buy anything these days, right?
Well, I can give you an example. So I know actually 2 guys who are selling things called fractional ownership of NFTs. So what that means is, let's say one guy who's coming on the podcast, I think about in 2 weeks, he has a house in Belize and he's introducing NFTs to have partial ownership of this house in Belize. So what I see this expanding to potentially for modeling is, imagine you have like a crown or a Miss Galaxy, some kind of, outfit that you bought or own that's really famous. You could issue NFTs and give people, hey, fractional ownership of this. So that way you still own the outfit technically, but keep it in your house. But the ownership is delegated across NFTs spread amongst everywhere. It's very fascinating.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's brand new. It's like, the way I look at it is like, imagine like a trading card, right? So you're betting on the future value of the person, or that they're going to be appreciate in value in the future, kind of thing, right? So that's what a lot of people like, that risk, or they like, oh, I just like a cool photo. So when you combine those two things, it's I think very easy to generate money for whatever you're doing.
Yeah. It's like they're investing in that person, you know.
Exactly.
Be worth something. Yeah. That's cool.
So I know another guy, he bought a 90s, I think it was a Nissan, I forget it was a Nissan. It was from one of those Fast and Furious movies.
Oh.
And he created NFTs that were tied to the ownership of this car. And he has a big social media following, so it's very easy for him to, sell all those NFTs and verify that that car actually exists, right? Because there's a lot of scams out there that, hey, here, we're going to give you partial ownership, but you own nothing. So that's where having a good social media presence and being trustworthy very helps, because not everyone can just do this.
The other day, because I have an Instagram account for Miss Galaxy Canada that's operated by like our director, who's kind of like a manager, and I go on there to post, but she is also on it, and she's been getting like some crypto hackers trying to get into it, and I've seen a lot of my friends be crypto hacked, especially in the past 2 weeks. So she just set it to like two authenticator, two-way authenticator. So I had to get back into it yesterday that way. But I don't know, like if you guys have been seeing a lot of that, but there's a lot of like girlfriends I have that have happened to that, and I guess someone tried to do it to me. So I don't know like where this is coming from, the crypto hackers.
Well, OpenSea had a phishing, is it phishing or phishing attack? I think it was this
Phishing.
past week.
It's phishing, yeah.
And I think tens of thousands of people lost their NFTs. So what likely happened was someone probably sent out an email to a list that they got from OpenSea clients and said, log in to change your password or something, and it went to a phony account or a phony login page. They captured your login credentials, and then they probably just sent the NFTs off to themselves. So never click links in emails unless you generated that email. And usually a lot of these companies, they just send a code, like a numeric code to type in to reset your password. So just be careful with links in emails.
Yeah, these were on Instagram, so I don't like. I guess that probably is what happened, but
yeah, I can give you an example. So like my account, Crypto Dalibor, very, very a lot of people message me with like scams, like you want to double your money, participate in this pump. So when people say stuff like that, generally just ignore them or block them, because they don't have good intentions, right? No one's going to start message you out of the blue with say, hey, I'll join this pump. You just have to have that little bit of social knowledge to say that this is a scam. But in terms of common steps to protect yourself and any one of your girlfriends who are having issues, number one, make sure to check the link is from a valid source. So if you get like an Amazon like link and it says something like amazon33.ca or .com, that's a scam. So link validation is, I think, the biggest way to prevent being scammed. Number two, just don't click on it. If you see a problem in the email, log into that account don't click the link. If you're really worried, that's something that I found very helpful to avoid getting scammed. And the third thing I would say with crypto, we've talked about this before. You obviously know the 24 word seed that you generated for your crypto wallet. Don't give that to anyone. Keep it very safe, keep it hidden. And because a lot of people ask for it, like, hey, I need to, help you with your account. There's something wrong. Give me this password. But when that happens, you actually lose access to your account because they can just take all your money out. So never do that. And in terms of your Instagram account, yeah, two-factor authentication is something I'd encourage everyone to do, because especially like we're seeing like a bunch of hackers trying to get into more things lately.
It's crazy how many of them there are. Like I've seen it everywhere. Like, and it's the same kind of posts too. Like, I'm like, is this the same person that's hacking all my friends?
Well, you have to understand their motives too, right? They're trying to find people who are unaware of crypto, and they're just trying to, take advantage of them, because with crypto, if, for example, I steal $50 from you, it's very hard to get the money back, right? Because it goes through many different wallets. And then by the time it ends up in like a foreign country, right? Then you go to an exchange. So that's why I said you need to protect yourself, because getting that, it's not like someone steals your money in real life. You know, you just call the bank, freeze their account. This doesn't really happen in crypto.
Yeah.
So that's why like criminals are using this, because it's very easy to take your money, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it secure as well, right? Because there isn't that interference. No one can artificially just, take money from your wallet.
Yeah. There's some risk involved and gotta be careful, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I had an unrelated question. It was back to the pageants. I've heard of Miss Galaxy Canada, well, Miss Galaxy and Miss Universe. Is Miss Universe still around?
Oh yeah. So there's different systems. Like there's so many different kinds of pageants. Miss Universe is in like the big four. So it's Miss Universe is the largest one in the world. It's always someone from the world, like Earth, that wins, even though it's Miss Universe.
Well, I thought that maybe Miss Universe had, maybe people weren't as interested in it because I think Donald Trump owned it at one point. So I thought maybe he kind of sullied the name or something like that.
No, he sold it. I don't remember who owns it now, but it's still number one in the world. I think that brand, because it's also one of the it's one of the largest. It has the most countries involved. I think it's been running for a while too. Like it has that prestige. So I don't think that Donald Trump could even sully it.
You can
But
sully many things, so
it's already had, like, regardless of him owning it, there was so many people involved in it. So his ownership was kind of like not a huge thing. But when he sold it, yeah, like it's still one of the biggest ones. Like it's like the one everybody wants to do. And but Galaxy isn't as like it's newer compared to Miss Universe. It only came to Canada like 7 or 8 years ago, so we, like, as a country, are new to it as well. I think it's been around for like 20 years. I'd have to double check on that. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head, but it's not as old as Miss Universe. It doesn't have as many countries involved. But it was voted in the top 7 on Pageant Planet, so I think that's pretty good. And I'm still very excited. Like I'll get to compete on an international stage again. The last time I competed internationally was when I was 19, so it's been a while. Yeah, like there's different ones. So if you're like, I think people get confused. They think I might be Miss Universe Canada because they think there's just one Miss Canada, but there are several Miss Canadas in different systems. So
is there anything that distinguishes the different pageants? Do they have do they do things a little bit differently?
yeah, every pageant's a little different. So like Miss Universe has an onstage question. They have, like, if you've watched it before, they had 2. So they have like one that's all the same question, then one that's asked by the judges, and they switch it up sometimes too. They have, like, they provide the swimwear, so like you don't pick your own in that case. Yeah, there's some differences with structure, and I know Miss Universe is held in different places every year, and most international pageants go different places every year too, depending on where they have the support or the availability to do it. The director of the international pageant I'm doing happens to live in Texas, so she's like, "This is going to be easy. She'll know where everything is," and I like Texas, so works out for me.
have you been there before?
Sorry?
Have you been there before?
Yeah, I've been about 4 times.
Nice.
So I did a lot of traveling when I was in like my sorority. I worked for my sorority's internationals, so they just flew me out a bunch of places to meet people and to network and to help them with their philanthropies. So, and that's another thing that actually differs with pageants. Sometimes they have like their own philanthropies. So Miss Galaxy Canada is heavily involved with Give Kids the World Village, and Miss Universe is Operation Smile. So they work with that. Like they have like differences there, but for the most part, if you've done one pageant, you could probably do the other. there's a lot of similarities, but some small differences.
So your event
Melanie.
so the event you're going to in August, how much people are competing? Is it from one person from every country is coming there, or how is it supposed to be?
I have no idea how many girls there are. I don't think we're on the website yet. But I know like there's women from Australia, like there's a Miss Galaxy Australia, there's a Miss Galaxy Oceania, there's a Miss Galaxy UK, there's a Miss Galaxy like Ireland, Wales. So there's women everywhere. I just don't know which country specifically, except for like the ones that are really posting that they're going to be there. If they're very active on social media, then I know they'll be there. And Australia and the UK are very involved, and Portugal's very involved. Yeah, and I know that it's different every year. Like even with Miss Universe, sometimes they have 70 countries, sometimes they have less than that, sometimes they have more than that. It depends on if they're sending a delegate for that year.
Melanie, do you know anything about the metaverse?
I mean a little bit, but like not enough to be an expert.
So essentially it's just I guess virtual worlds where you can meet people and I don't know, do things, have activities or whatever, and either using virtual reality or just your phone or your laptop. So Dalibor and I are going to cover a fashion show in one of the popular metaverses called Decentraland in mid-March. But the reason I bring this up is I have a prediction. I think we're going to have Miss Metaverse in the near future.
we tried to buy we tried to buy the domain, didn't we?
Yeah, missmetaverse.com was taken, but I foresee that being the next the next iteration of a pageantry in the metaverse.
There's been a boom in virtual pageants just because of COVID. Like Miss Galaxy Canada was the first one I've done in person in many years, but I did do Miss Earth Canada, which was held virtually. So I had to like submit my videos, and my interviews were virtual. And some pageant systems still did virtual. Like Miss Earth, their international pageant went virtual this past year because of COVID. So there's been a lot of that. And you know what's really funny is I got back to like doing all sorts of virtual things when COVID first hit. Like I went on Club Penguin. Yeah, you guys know what Club Penguin is. I loved Club Penguin when I was like 12 years old. I would go all the time. And what's so funny is the amount of university kids that got back onto Club Penguin when COVID first hit. And then I got Roblox, and really funny, like some of the girls that I was going to be competing with at this pageant, we already knew each other because the pageant got postponed because of COVID. So they didn't want to do it virtual. They wanted to do it in person. So it was postponed in 2020 to be in 2021, but we already kind of knew each other. And some of us got Roblox because somebody made like some sort of like, it was like Miss Universe platform, and there was a stage and there was like virtual, like, and it was so funny because you're like a little avatar and you just pretend that you're Miss Universe on this like stage. I'm like, does anybody want to practice virtual? It's like the dumbest thing, but it was so fun. Like so fun.
Well, what me and Andrew will be covering next month is like there's actual brands sponsoring it. So I think like Adidas and like Armani are actually sponsoring some of these virtual fashion shows. So it's interesting. This is like the first one of its kind. So
I haven't heard anything like that. I just know that I've gotten back into like some avatar stuff just because of COVID. I'm not playing Club Penguin anymore, but at the beginning it was like we're all in lockdown. What are we doing? And that's kind of where people went, just for fun. And what did you say it was called again? The fashion show?
Decentraland.
Decentraland's like the open world.
Okay.
And then I don't remember the specific name of the fashion show. We'll send it to you after. For sure.
I'd love to learn more about that. It's pretty cool.
If you're free that day, you should join us, and maybe we'll cover it, and everyone can I guess record themselves in Decentraland with their avatar.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're having like a bit of a party for that because we think it's like the first one of its kind, so might as well celebrate it.
Very cool.
So you're saying that a lot of the pageants have been virtual, but it's kind of like what we're doing here, where it's everyone just, you're participating by recording yourself or live through video feed, and the audience just watching the feed. But I think the next level of virtual pageantry is a little bit more similar to what we'll see in Decentraland, where either you have an avatar or maybe you have some kind of real-time body tracking. So a lot of these VR headsets have body tracking, or at least they're working on it. I know the Quest 2 has hand tracking, and they're working on body tracking, and it's just a matter of them, superimposing maybe a 3D scan of your face onto your virtual body, and then the audience who would presumably have virtual reality headsets as well could sit in the audience, and then they'll look side to side, and they'll see other audience members, and they'll see Melanie, you on the stage, and other participants on the stage. So it'll be very immersive. That's the way I foresee it.
That's so crazy. That's like almost like what you would see in like movies from like 10 years ago, trying to predict the future, and it's kind of getting there, right? Like
it's a little like Black Mirror.
I used to watch what's it called? Well, Black Mirror's kind of like trying to be like, oh my god, what is it called?
X-Files or Star Trek Outer Limits.
No, it's completely left my mind. The minute I try to think about it, it's not coming. But it was an older TV show.
Andrew's like a huge sci-fi nerd, so he'd watched every single sci-fi show, I'm pretty sure.
It's
Twilight Zone.
No, Black Mirror is like inspired by it.
The most similar to Black Mirror would be Outer Limits, Twilight Zone. There's probably a couple other ones. It's like an anthology series. But yeah, it's been covered a lot in past science fiction, like themes like this, ideas like this, and it's crazy to see it becoming real. Actually, if anybody can help me out with this, I would love to know. I watched I think it was a TV movie growing up, and I can never find the name. So it takes place in the near future. Everyone lives in this idyllic world, and they think it's real until one guy realizes that they're all wearing these headsets. He takes it off, and instead of like this perfect city, it's like they live in the ghetto, and they're all wearing like gray jumpsuits. It's very much like Black Mirror. Even the food they're eating that they think is great in the virtual world, when you actually look at it in the real world, it's like disgusting, like nothing. It's like gruel and bagels and stuff. And that's the world we're heading in. I think everyone's going to escape into the metaverse. We're going to abandon the real world. The real world's going to start crumbling, but no one's going to care.
Let's hope not.
I watched a movie that was kind of like that, but I can't think of something that was on when I was younger. I know I was watching Supergirl because I wanted to get caught up on it, and they had these contacts that you would put on, and it would take you to a whole like other virtual world. So you'd be kind of like sedated in the real world, be like you were dreaming, but like it was very real. You could eat food and whatnot just from these contacts being put on. You could fly in this reality, like you could be Supergirl if you wanted and just fly around. So
I'm sure Facebook's working on it right now.
Yeah. So
Meta, I should say.
Meta, yeah. Did they actually change their name?
Yeah, they did.
The parent company's Meta, and then the Facebook is a product of Meta. It's like Google. The parent company's Alphabet, and then Google.
Because I was waiting for Facebook to say Meta, and I'm like, it doesn't yet.
So it does on the bottom. So if you're on an iPhone, you click on the Facebook, that like loading screen, it says by Meta at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm more of I want to see a future where I just put on, sci-fi, those glasses, and then it's like I'm like Tony Stark, and then I can see the weather, augmented reality. That's more my type of future. I don't want to get into this crazy where I'm putting on a headset, walking or inside a hamster wheel, No, I
don't think anybody wants that, but like even like some fashion, like if you're walking in a mall, you might see a virtual fashion show, like it's not a hologram, but it's like a video, and so the models would be filmed prior, and this would be like, it looks like they're in a box, and it's just in the mall. So instead of just a picture, you'd see them actually walking in whatever is going on, and that's what.
What mall is this?
They're in the Eaton Center, so I don't think. Yeah, Windsor does not have them yet, but I was in the Eaton Center and I was seeing a bunch of them. My friends that were in New York Fashion Week, there was a bunch of them there, like these virtual advertisements of fashion shows, like, so.
I did come up with an interesting idea. So if you're a bigger model, imagine fans doing photos with you, right? Then you can now mint that as an NFT, so it's now an official photo with you. There you go. That's also something interesting, right? That you can do as a fashion model. there's just a lot of opportunities here, I think, with NFTs.
Yeah, for sure. Like I haven't done anything yet, but I've definitely, like, it does intrigue me, and I know that some models are doing it already. Not any pageant girls, but definitely, like, it's crazy. I even saw, like, I remember Jay-Z, his profile picture was an NFT, and then you're like, is he like doing it because he likes NFTs, or is he just like has so much money he's like, might as well.
Or an Astro Boy.
Astro.
Though there's one I found on OpenSea. How much did sell? Was it selling for, Andrew? Was it like 10,000 Ethereum or something crazy?
It worked out to be tens of millions of dollars. So it might have been like $20 million or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think I would spend that much money on it, but I would definitely think about creating something
So
someone else can spend that much money.
Melanie, if you have any interesting photos that you want to try, we can help you set it up. Yeah, it's pretty easy, but we can help you. We can walk you through the process and see how it goes.
Yeah, I most of the photos I have, like they're like they're TFP, so they were collaborated between me and the photographer. So I wouldn't want to do that without the photographer, but I mean, I can take my own photos too. I've taken my own headshots before. I went to school for communication, so I'm not like, it's so much easier to have someone else take your own, like taking your own pictures is tough if you want to get the light. I don't know how much you know about photography, but it's just like self-portraits are kind of hard to do. I'd rather work with a photographer, but I don't want to take that ownership away from them because they were collaborations. So like half mine, half whoever worked on it, right?
Of course.
But if I could do something on my own or get the permission from a photographer, however, if it did sell for like $1 million, I think I think they'd be like,
Hey, it all depends on what you agree upon. If you split 50-50, if you split 50-50, there'll be no issue. So it's all down to agreement at the end of the day.
That's true. I was gosh, I was on my phone the other day and I saw this like video of this guy that bought pizza with Bitcoin before it became a thing. And then
it was on my feed.
Yeah, it was like the next day, and he's like, yeah, so I guess my pizza was worth this much, and I just sold.
Yeah, so
I think $1 billion.
Yeah, so the guy, he bought 10,000 Bitcoin. I mean, two pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin, which is worth I think $40 at the time.
Yeah.
And you could see it in his interview. He's like so sad he did it.
That's why I'm like, I wouldn't want to take that away from a photographer if he agreed to let me have the rights to do it as an NFT, and then I sell it for how much? And he's like, what?
Hey, yeah, I agree. So if you share profits, you both benefit, and then it's good. Now he's a famous photographer, you're a famous model, so it's even better. It's a win-win.
Win-win. Yeah, lots of opportunity there. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna have to do it, but I'm gonna have to need some help. So I'll probably talk to you, Andrew, the expert on minting it, if I get that far.
And are you still looking to pursue a career in journalism at all? I know you took that in school.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues with journalism, and it's not really a realm I want to really be involved in right now. So I'm not working in journalism. There are certain kinds of, like, sports journalism is not political in any way, so I feel like I'd be safe there. I do enjoy like hockey, and I'm watching the Olympics right now. I do have a friend that works for CBC, and she does sports journalism just that. So, but I don't know. Like, there's a lot going on in journalism, and when you ask a lot of people that went to school with me, none of them are working in journalism. We did learn a lot from being in it because it's very versatile, and I was a double major, but it's more like skills that could apply to other jobs, so it's not a total loss. But I don't know, journalism just doesn't feel right at the moment right now. There's not a lot that I'm looking at that I'm like, this is not like an unbiased article. You see a lot of biased articles on both political spectrums, and it's a lot. I don't even like reading the news anymore. So I'm like, how can I be a journalist and not like reading the news? Yeah,
It's mentally draining just reading news now. It's like you just hear it's like they're screaming at you the whole time. It's like I just want to relax.
it can
You could
definitely.
become a crypto journalist.
Yeah, see, if there's a niche involved and it's not like political, it's just like I feel like Canada's very politically crazed, more like the West is just very politically crazed right now.
I think CoinDesk is actually looking for journalists. So that's like a crypto site that all they do is cover crypto news. So there's definitely like niches, I would say, definitely are worth exploring still.
Yeah, like I'm open, but I know that a traditional journalism field is probably not where I'd be happy.
A lot of people are also doing the independent journalism route, right? Where they're just covering stuff on their
Substack.
own. Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Substack.
Yeah, there's a lot of freelance right now. So I was working as a freelance, and I mean I could still do that now. So I get to kind of pick what I want to work on, and if it's agreed on, then they'll pay me for it. But there's not a lot of money in that, so it's more of like a side gig if you wanted to do it. But there is a ton of freelance journalists right now. But yeah, like if it was something niche, like if I worked for a magazine, like a fashion magazine or something, like that would be pretty easy. Well, not easy, like journalism is draining regardless of what you do. It's a lot of writing, a lot of interviewing, talking to people. So editing, yeah, not the funnest things, but if you're motivated and you like what you're doing, like I guess I thought when I initially went into it, it'd be more like investigative journalism, like fun stuff like that. And that's just not what's going on right now. So
It's tough to do investigative journalism now, right? There's not many who offer that.
people want quick stories, and they want them to be like crazy, like something like that appeals to the like something like clickbait, and they want it quick. Everyone wants stuff now. They want it yesterday. I watched this comedian that was talking about Amazon. He's like, you can get Amazon like within a day now. You can get the next day. And he's like, people are going to want more. They're going to want like Prime now. Like I want Prime yesterday.
Yeah, and it's a problem, right? It's like when you see news articles like written 5 years ago, like you're like, whoa, this is so refreshing to read compared to ones now because they're just like in your face, the words they describe. It sounds so extreme, and then when you read it, it's like, oh, it's not that bad actually.
I don't know. I love investigative journalism, but it takes time. Like that's like you get the payout after like if you take like a year on it and it does really well, then it's worth it. But not a lot of companies are going to back you working on something for an entire year so you can get it to be quality to get that far, right? They want it as quick as possible, and so you don't have as much time to do research or actual investigation and interviewing as many people as you can. So it's not as exciting in that way. And then there's a lot of stuff that people don't want to comment on. Like I've listened to some cool podcasts, like investigative podcasts, where they were trying to find out like stuff about the CIA, like and
That's a no touch zone.
there was like it sounds like the story. I can't remember what podcast it was. I'll send it to you later, but they had this there was this whole thing, and he was like, I'm sure this happened, and he did interview a lot of people weren't allowed to use their names. They're like, and at the end of it I was like, I think this did happen. Like he didn't prove it happened, but he did it thoroughly, and there's some really good content there, and they made a lot of money off of this podcast. So I don't know, I like journalism that takes time and that has some thought to it and not just quick in your face clickbaity.
Yeah, well, anything you do, like this podcast, like it's a lot of work, finding good guests, bringing on people on the show. So it's like anything like media related is a lot more work than people think. People think it's just easy, set up a mic, a camera, and just talk. You should see our first episode, Andrew, right? You remember we were nervous talking over this. So it definitely takes time, to actually develop your skill set, right? So like anything.
Even like influencers, like people think they just like sit and look pretty, but it like they spend a lot of time editing their videos. They spend a lot of time negotiating prices. Like my friend got pretty big from her TikTok, and she's like, sometimes I work like 20 hours a day just being an influencer, and she's like, people just think I take pretty pictures and pretty videos and that's it. So it can be like mentally draining in that way too.
Well, it's a perception thing, right? It's like people just assume just because you're a content creator, you don't do much work, but no,
Yeah,
it's a lot of work.
a lot of work. Yeah.
Especially when you're not at that level yet where you're you can afford to pay other people to outsource some of that work. If you're in that between, that's the worst part, right? It's like I'm big enough where I have to update, but I'm not big enough that I can outsource. That's the worst area to be in. And that's unfortunately the area most people get stuck in, right? Because the work starts building up and then you're kind of just give up because you're going, it's too difficult. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I never got into YouTube. I kept like I'd think about it and I make the YouTube account and then I never uploaded any content. Yeah.
hey, we've been trying it out. Like we've been like doing different hashtags, still nothing's cracking. So it takes time, I guess. You have to
Yeah.
find the right people. You have to find that one viral video. Because I know one of my friends was a realtor, and she has a couple like viral TikToks, and it blew up her channel. Now she's being consistent at creating viral ones. So yeah, it's a skill, I would say, that takes time to develop.
I think
A
it
little bit
helps.
of luck too.
Yeah.
Luck too, yeah.
Yeah. I think everything involves skill, but a little bit of luck because you have to be in the right place, right moment, right video. Something has to go right.
And you have to try, right? It's like throwing a dart, and then one's eventually going to be a bullseye. You might miss, you might hit a green spot, but eventually you're going to get that bullseye that you're looking for.
Yeah. Are you guys using TikTok at all?
No, we're actually planning to. So that's
Yeah.
one of the platforms. Like we're on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, a bunch of those. So we're just slowly building over time. Because I found that when you try to do too many things at once, you don't do anything right. So we're just trying to incrementally improve.
Yeah, that's really true.
I think TikTok will be good this summer because we'll be building a lot of mining rigs. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but Dalvor, myself, and another business partner, we do a lot of crypto mining, well, Ethereum mining specifically. So it's these large rigs of graphics cards, and so we build them, and they're pretty colorful. They're all RGB lit up. So I think we'll make a couple of videos of that in the summer.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have like there's a couple of things I know me and Andrew have plans. Like we want to start like we were talking about like an NFT gallery. So that's one thing we're looking at starting because a lot of local artists here I know are struggling. So having like create like a space where they can sell their NFT art, I think that'd be very interesting. Like kind of bridging the gap between virtual and reality. That's some area we're looking into.
It's a great idea. I love the idea of like a virtual art space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this fashion show, like when you send me I really want to look into that too, because I feel like that's going to be something that might skyrocket. You said Adidas and Armani are
Yeah,
backing.
I'll send you an article I found, but there's definitely some big brands that are investing. I think Adidas is definitely one of them. Armani, I'm certain of. I could be wrong because there's so many brands.
Yeah. But what is really nice is like Windsor does have a lot of creative like artists and photographers, and it's not like they don't have as much of like there's nowhere really for them to do as much as there would be Toronto or New York. So it'd be really cool if we did something like that.
Yeah, especially because like they all have to move, right? If we can keep it local, give them an outlet to actually make, some money and bring some attention to their work, I think it's great. We have a great creative area in Walkerville that I think is we should utilize a lot better.
I agree. I know that like Drouillard was starting to boom too. They had like some breweries open there, and they tried to revive it too. So there's some like niche art there too. I don't know if you've gone lately. I was there in the summer. They're trying to revive it, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, there's some pretty cool things going on.
Yeah, there's some cool projects I was seeing in some NFTs where how Ford City and like Walkerville has those vintage brick artwork on walls. Some artists are trying to digitize that and just sell it as NFTs. So I think that'd be very cool in Windsor as well if we can somehow do stuff like that. I think that'd be a great way, to sell these cool locations that we have in Windsor.
Yeah, there is a guy. Oh my gosh, he was interviewed by the Windsor Star. They scooped him before I got to him because I was working for the Windsor Local at the time, and I was like,
Yeah.
I really want to interview this guy, and they literally scooped him like 2 days before I wanted to interview him. So, but I can't remember his name, but he does a lot of like the artwork on like random walls in Windsor, and he's amazing. And I didn't learn about him until my friend tagged me in one of his artworks outside and said that it looks like me. And I'm like maybe like a little bit. I feel like I might look different from different angles. So maybe like in her mind, she's like, this looks like you. And so that's when I was like, oh, who is this guy? He's kind of like a Banksy, but like he's, you know who he is instead of being Banksy, but it's like Windsor's Banksy, I guess.
That's fascinating. If you're down,
Wincy.
send us his contact info. We'd love to chat with him.
Yeah, yeah. I could probably find it after this. I just can't remember his name off the top of my head.
All good. Because I think artwork like that has a lot of potential, right? It's very nice. We've seen it in the city. It's beautiful artwork that just has no recognition anywhere.
Yeah, because you can't. I mean, you could buy a wall. Like, I guess you could buy a tangible wall, but who's doing that? I mean, if you bought the ownership of it and you had that virtual, like if it was on the blockchain, like I think that would work with it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a piece of history that you're always going to have. It's never going to be deleted, you know. If someone decides to cover it up, you know, it'd be terrible, but no one's ever going to do that if you owned it.
Yeah, it's very cool.
So thank you very much, Melanie, for joining us. We're at the 1 hour mark.
Okay.
We're going to share like your credentials, ways to donate. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. It was great to have you on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was very like educational for me too. I love to talk to people about these things, and I've learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to learning more and maybe creating some NFTs myself.
Perfect. Best of luck in your show in August. We'll keep in touch.
Thank you.